recap.
The adventurers have taken their first steps into the abyss, tasked with a mission that could determine the fate of Aloria itself. The king, in his wisdom or desperation, has entrusted them with his perilous endeavour. King Alar delivered his decree. He spoke of hope, though it seemed to me hope is a fragile thing in these times. Before their departure, they roamed Eldrathis to prepare for their journey. They gathered supplies, sought counsel from the gods, and bought a large tapestry. Princess Myla of Selendor and her Moonveil Society provided potions and wards to safeguard their passage. I must admit that I find myself intrigued by these adventurers. They are untested in many ways, but possess a certain unpredictability that may prove useful or dangerous. What role will they play shaping our future? Will they rise to meet this challenge or succumb to the darkness that seeks to consume us all? For now, I watch and wait, but my eyes remain fixed on these travellers. Should they falter or stray from their path, I will be there to ensure that the kingdom does not fall into ruin, even if it means taking matters into my own hands. You stand on a battlefield of endless red sand beneath a searing red sun. The air stinks of blood and sulphur. Steel clashes, wings beat in the air, and the roars of demons and devils scream through the chaos. And there, a golden light, radiant, divides the heavens. An armoured angel atop a glowing Oliphant, sword alight with divine fury, strikes like a comet in the fray. She does not observe, she does not command, she leads. Sword swinging, eyes ablaze, she tears through the infernal hordes, driving mortal riders through the battlefield. To the last, she cries, no retreat. But behind her, some of the humans hesitate. They are afraid of the blood war, of her. Her support fades, disintegrating away until there are only two riding beside her, desperately calling after her. Zariel, we must retreat. The words fall on deaf ears. Time twists, her wings tattered, her blade cracked, her divine glow dims, flickering like a candle in the wind. Still she fights for glory, for justice, for a war she can never win. A voice slithers into the silence, coming from a commanding black cloud slowly blocking out the sky. Wait, let me turn that down so slightly. Blacking out the sky. It offers her a choice, burn with pride or rule in flame. Zariel kneels, not in defeat, in a twisted triumph. Black fire consumes her, her halo erupts into a crown of flame, her wings twist into molten blades of bone and ash, her tears become rivers of lava. Her face, painting what initially appears to be shame, fades into a narcissistic righteousness. She gives a wry smile. She rises, no longer an angel, but the archdevil of Avernus, Lord of Chains, the Crusader Queen of Hell. You all awaken. Your skin is slick with sweat. Your breath catches in your throat. And just for a moment, the smell of brimstone lingers. In the distance, faint and haunting, you hear the sound of marching boots and the rattle of chains. Before you stands a towering male fiend, his presence radiating heat and menace. In one hand, he swirls a slender katana, notably dwarfed by the massive flaming greatsword strapped across his back. The katana spins with grace and gleams slightly with infernal energy. As your senses return and you begin to stir, he halts the motion and levels the katana directly at you, Ricky. He says, "Tell me, child, how did you come into the possession of this jewel?"
It's not even mine. It's not even mine. I don't know. It's not even mine. You gotta ask one of them over there.
Who do you point to?
Truyeg.
He laughs, and then lets a moment of silence stretch for a small while. Then a slow, wicked smile curls across his face.
That's a wicked
He
smile.
steps off his... His gaze fixed on the gem soldered into the hilt of the katana. And he carries on talking to you, Ricky, and he says, "This is no mere trinket. This is a piece of my legacy. A shard of the crown." And he starts sizing you all up like a predator. Forged in an age drowned in shadow and blood, the crown was born of a pact. Not a theft or a conquest, but a deal. Valor the Dusk, before he was the mortal tyrant of Aloria, came to me, broken but not unbent. He offered his soul, his kingdom, and something more. His will. In return, I granted him the means to rule, a circlet of blackened gold anchored by this very stone. It held a sliver of my essence, my power. The crown whispered my words into his ear, sweet as honey and sharp as razors. It promised dominion, and he took it. Cities rose, empires bent the knee, and yet in the end, even he could not escape the price. No king who has worn the crown has ever known peace. The whispers do not fade, they only consume. He stands directly in front of you, Ricky. And he turns his face fully to you now. No longer amused or joking, just solemn. The crown was meant to serve me, to channel my will into the material world. But Valor grew bold. He dared to believe he was the master of his own fate. Fools often do. And now the crown stirs again. Its heart returned to the world, and you, little mortal, hold it. Tell me, have you heard the whispers yet?
I don't think so. That little voice in the back of my head that tells me what to do, is that the whispers? Or?
Perhaps they are the whispers of the crown. Perhaps they are your own. Well, this matters not. The piece is now yours to keep. And he returns the katana to your side, floating it through the air back into its sheath on your side.
I'm the chosen one.
In my unending benevolence, he continues, I've decided to spare your wretched little souls. But of course, only on one small condition. From the shadows up on the throne, the small girl claps joyfully at this announcement. You stand in the presence of Bel, rightful lord of the First and true ruler of Avernus. Again, the girl claps, delighted. My throne was stolen from me by Zariel, the celestial turncoat, and Asmodeus, in his unending, puzzling wisdom, saw fit to place her on it. Your task is simple. Aid me in reclaiming what is mine, weaken her forces, disrupt her stronghold, allow me to strike the killing blow. Zariel commands legions, including several pit fiends, creatures far beyond your ability to face. I will handle them, and Zariel herself. You, however, will strike where her grip is weakest. He gestures outwards, showing you the vast plains of Avernus behind you. Begin at the bottom of her chain of command. You may start with Mad Maggie, the hag who watches all with her cursed, scrying eyes. She must be silenced first. Her visions are far too dangerous to my cause. Then, Chains and Charms, two damned subjects of Valor the Dusk, now bound in eternal servitude to Zariel. They are cunning and cruel. Deal with them. Next is Elanthius. He guards the crypt of the fallen Hell Riders. I know little of him. He is a shadow, rarely seen and never spoken of. And lastly, Haruman, Zariel's favoured lieutenant, a brutal warrior whose loyalty runs deep. Defeating him will be the greatest challenge, and the most vital. I've heard rumours he now travels with a priestess, one who bolsters his strength through divine means. Expect resistance. Bel's eyes burn into each of you, his voice dropping low. Do this, and you shall walk away with more than just your lives. Do this, and you will regain your lives and have a way to defeat the Lich who put you here. You see, Veldrin cannot die. Not truly. His soul is bound, hidden, protected by a vessel known as a phylactery. A phylactery is a container of sorts. Arcane, sacred, and profane, it houses the soul of Lich, protecting it from death. Destroy the body, and the soul simply retreats, regenerates, returns. But shatter the phylactery, and you sever the cord. Only then can a creature like Veldrinzar truly fall. I have collected Veldrin's phylactery, kept it for safekeeping and leverage. But if you complete this task, I will hand it over to you. You want to insight check it? Yeah, go ahead. Roll me insight. He appears to be telling the truth. If you are to face him and survive this time, you will need to have destroyed it. Bell's tone sharpens, and with a wicked grin, he says, "Consider it a gift. For now, I give you this map of Avernus. The strongholds of Zariel's lieutenants are all marked. However, many more dangers lurk in the shadows of Avernus."
Mr. Bell, can I appreciate the sort of clarity that you've come with, but can I ask a few questions, please?
Certainly.
Are we actually dead right now?
I too had that question, actually.
Well, if I had let you die, as normal mortals do, you would currently be in the river Styx as a mere lemure. Does anyone want to make a history check as to what a lemure might be?
It's pronounced Lemure, but I will make a history check on what they might be as for character. For my character.
In your world, they may be pronounced lemures, but for that, you can add 1 point of exhaustion.
I'm not adding exhaustion for having correct spelling.
They're hunks of flesh that once you die and your soul is transported to the hells, appear in the river Styx. If they survive long enough and gain enough power, they will slowly turn into devils. But they are what is essentially hunks of flesh that will inevitably be taken up by larger devils and kind of brought about to be devils to work for them, to be like lesser devils. He continues, you would be mere lemures in the river Styx if not for me. However, I saw use for you all. You will become an eternal suffering soul in Avernus.
Right. Okay.
Noted.
Your souls are bound to mine now. If you are to leave hell, you cease to exist.
So,
Once again, you return to endless suffering.
Our backs are against the wall.
right. Yeah. So as much as you have sort of made a decent deal here, in the fine print, we do not have a choice, really.
Do not make the assumption that you have any power here. I'm giving you this task out of the benevolence in my heart.
Okay. Excellent.
Zariel rules Avernus currently, and an act against her can be perceived as an act against Asmodeus himself. If I were to, one by one, take out all of Zariel's lieutenants, I would be seen to be defying Asmodeus himself.
Right. I'm with you.
If you are to take out some of her lieutenants and I am to finish it off, I'm simply clearing up Avernus.
So, Balgaroth, Zigguroth, and Thargaroth, are they part of the crew, or are they?
These are pit fiends far out of the realms of your abilities.
Okay.
I will deal with these myself. Considering your performance against Veldrinzar, I fear you would simply embarrass yourself if you were to take any of those head on.
I think you should get in mind that 20.
I think Boris always knew one day he would end up in hell, and to be honest, a mixture of like just accepting it and also like the exhaustion of he's with 3 complete idiots he's already died half and doesn't really know what's going on. He's just fully took this at face value and is like fully buying in just so it can end. So it's just like, right, okay, so what do we do if we see one of these three people? I take it we run away.
I would advise against confronting them. Now, Hell and Avernus is not a place that is... It's not a place that is foreign to mortals like yourself traversing. You will not be attacked merely for existing here, especially considering you have made a pact. Well, you are to make a pact with myself. Your mere existence here does not warrant confrontation from the devils. The demons, however, I can't speak for.
Is there a specific order to this hit list, or are you just...
My personal recommendation would be to take on Mad Maggie first. She is the eyes of Avernus. Through her scrying eyes, she sees all that occurs. Taking out the communication would be my personal recommendation. They rule the Searing Jail up here. And they are also in charge of guarding the Ledger of Chains, which is where all pacts between all beings and devils are kept.
Like his weaknesses, strengths, like any intel you can give us.
Fight well.
Nice.
Sick.
I'm just gonna turn to the party and just sort of like just give them a look as if like, oh, I'm like, what fucking choice do we have? Are we doing this or?
Yeah, I say we make a deal with the devil.
Nice. Didn't think I'd ever hear a cleric say that.
As the leader, I make decisions. Go forward with what we're doing.
Yeah, sure thing, Ricky.
Thanks, Ricky.
You see gleefully that the young girl you know as Liren kind of dashes down the stairs and oh, is that dinner?
Ding ding!
And she hands a piece of parchment to Bell, and it floats out in front of him and just inscribes in kind of one quick solid movement, he inscribes a pact into the parchment. And then he goes up to each of you and asks you to hold open your palm.
Yep.
He lets it float round in front of you. And the essence of what it says is that you shall complete the task of weakening Zariel's forces, and in return, Bell will grant you your mortal vessels back and gift to you the phylactery of Veldrinzar.
Is there anything in the small print that I should be wary of? Any T&C?
Make a insight check make an investigation check for me, because there's quite a lot written on this page.
Oh.
You don't notice anything.
Oh, we're definitely getting fucked over, but I don't know, so okay, I'll take the pact.
Yeg has agreed, so you have your palm open.
Mm-hmm.
And he drags his fingernail across your palm very quickly, holding out letting out a small sliver of blood, and takes your arm above the parchment and lets a drop of blood drip down onto the page. And this drop of blood soaks into the parchment, and then through kind of divine magic, clearly, this blood sprawls out and literally depicts a picture of you at the bottom of your face at the bottom of the parchment. And he then goes one by one and does it for the rest of you. Then says, well, I guess we have a deal. So, you are currently at Bell's Throne and Forge, which is down here. This big river that flows through Avernus is the River Styx. Fort Knucklebone is where Maggie is. The Hellrider's Crypt is where Alanthus is. The Searing Jail is where chains and charms are, and Harriman's Hill is where Harriman is. One thing you can see looking across in this direction down here is that as you go out here, you come to what is the front lines of the Blood War. And what you can essentially see is battles. It's very far away, you can't make out any details, but it's battles of red figures fighting vehemently against greenish, blackish, a mixture of figures.
So, should we not go in order and go Hellrider's Crypt, then up to Fort Knucklebone? Or should we go up there first to go deal with the Mad Maggie?
Well, if she's got those scrying eyes, probably
Yeah.
good enough.
True.
The scrying eye thing is a bit peak.
What you remember about the Blood War is, it is a battle began long before the mortal realm, and certainly the kingdom of Aloria, in which you all know, came into being. It was during the early days of creation of the realms that it started. It's between the demons from the Abyss and the devils of the Nine Hells, and they've been locked in this endless battle for as long as history has seemingly been going on. I'd say the vague kind of memory of it and what you know of it is that the devils strategic, methodical. They're very much like kind of Roman generals in the fact that they're a lot about strategy, whereas the demons from the Abyss legend is that they are endless. They simply exist in an infinite number.
I have a question. How are we going to get to Fort Knucklebone?
Yeah, because I don't see a bridge on this map anywhere.
There is no bridge over the river Styx.
How wide is the river?
The river is, you can see from your kind of top-down view, the Styx is like a few miles wide. This thing is like humongous.
Fuck.
It is a sizable river.
I guess we've got to look for a geezer of a boat. I think I remember hearing stories about a guy that sails down the Styx.
Maybe we should head closer to the river, see what we can see.
It makes more sense to cross it further north, just because there's another little pond.
Well, there's also that.
Yeah.
There's also that sort of like cliff face, right, sort of parallel to Fort Knucklebone.
Up
This
there.
one here.
Well,
Do we can like parkour our way off that?
How are you gonna parkour down what could be like 100-foot drop?
I'm a monk. I'm really cool. I'm a monk. I've got snowfall.
I mean, looking out from Bel's throne, you can see a mixture of things that your eyes can't really comprehend. You see a portion of the map a portion of the landscape that doesn't really seem to fit with the rest. It's a lot greener in tone.
I reckon we should get close to the river and see if there's anyone willing to take us up there on a
the
boat.
best shout
yeah,
we've
let's
got.
look at the river, and worst case scenario, we can always walk up this side of the river.
Worst case scenario, Ricky can swim it. So
Right, let's head west to the river.
For the first time, you are on the plains of Avernus. Down on the ground, you can see the scale a little bit more now. You can see how, now that you're not on such a vantage point, you can see how small you truly are. As I said before, you see these hulking infernal machines kind of grinding through the plains on the other side of the river, that seem to be more technologically advanced than something you would see in Aloria typically. Incredibly large, hulking, scaled beasts flying through the air. You make your way down towards the river Styx. You notice it's red waters swirling in unnatural patterns for how you would typically know a river to flow. There's a stench of rot, of decay, and you notice that the river's surface reflects nothing. Not the sky, not stars, not the red sun above you. It's just an inky void that swallows all light. The current churns as if there are living things, as if the river itself is alive. And you can hear it whispering in a language that none of you can understand. Suddenly, a boat emerges. At first, what's atop it is little more than a silhouette in a tattered cloak, but as it sails into the dim light, you make out its true form. A creature whose existence seems to blend in with the darkness around it. Its skin stretched tight, pale and sickly around its face. And it's gaunt with hollow eyes that glow very faintly and long bony fingers clutching a blackened pole that it uses to propel itself. In a very raspy whisper, it sails up to the little jut out into the river here and says, "You seek to cross the Styx."
We wish to go to Fort Knucklebones.
It leans forward and studies you, almost peering into your soul. And it says, "The price for passage is not gold. I offer you what you desire, but in return, I ask for something else. The Styx holds all memories. Those who touch its waters leave behind fragments of themselves, echoes of who they once were. Each memory lost is a price paid, and each soul who crosses is marked by what they have given up. I will grant you safe passage across the river, but in exchange you must place your hand in its waters and surrender a memory. A memory of joy, of sorrow, of a life lost or a future never realized. The more important the memory, the safer the crossing. The Styx will always leave you with less than you came. Once a memory is lost to the Styx, it is gone forever. It cannot be restored, and it will never return to you." And as he says this, the current of the Styx grows more violent. It starts thrashing against the banks that you stand on, as if the river's kind of awaiting your decision. And he says, "A journey down the Styx is never free, nor is it ever safe."
So the bigger the memory, the larger, like, as in the more powerful the memory, the safer the journey.
That is what he said.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm gonna. Can I hop in?
You want to hop into it?
Not into the river, into his little boat.
As you approach the boat on the bank, the boat slowly drifts away.
Oh damn!
Where are you going?
And he seems to almost command the current around him. First, the memory.
Who's got one?
Ricky Bobby walks up, puts his hand in and forgets how to walk.
Okay, Ricky Bobby is now canonically unable to use his legs.
He's canonically paraplegic. Oh god, poor Ricky.
Ricky Bobby walks to the front, pushes past everyone and says, "Darius Cage, fuck that bitch!" Puts his hand in.
Whoa.
As you put It's Cade, by the way, as well, not Cage as well, but I kind of like Cage more, so I might change it to that. But as you put your hand in, the river laps up at your arms, and you start to feel a pulling sensation. The being on the boat starts to chuckle almost, and I'm gonna need you to make a dexterity saving throw for me. Okay. It laps up at your arm, and you feel all memory of I'm gonna call him Darius Cage from now on. I prefer that.
Sweet.
You feel all memory of Darius Cage almost be pulled from your mind down through into your chest and down your arm and through your hand. All of these memories that you did have of Darius, your childhood where you were once friends, your memories of him pushing you to be better and to improve yourself, as well as the memories of pity you felt from him and the shame at your own inability to keep up with him. The being eagerly awaits the next memory.
I'm gonna put my hand in and say, I trust Amonator, and I'm gonna give my positive memory of my first time entering a temple.
Damn.
Okay, I'm gonna need you as well to make a dexterity saving throw.
Yeah.
Okay. Your memory of entering this temple, it's an open air. Obviously, it was in the mountains, so it wasn't particularly pristine. But for your village and where you were from, this was one of the nicest, most pristine, regal places you've ever been to prior to going to the capital. It's open air. You're there with your parents, with your sister. It was a place where you truly knew what you wanted to do with the rest of your life, and you truly discovered that you wanted to dedicate your life to Amonator. You haven't forgotten Amonator entirely. The reasons why you chose to follow him start to fade and get pulled out from your arm.
Oh god.
And the river tugs at you again, and you fall down ever so slightly as the river laps at you.
As the river starts to lap at him, can I try and yank him back?
You can, however,
You can't.
let me do this first. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know where this is in my notes. Let me find this really quickly.
Don't worry, Truyeg's just grappling with his fucking soul right now. Holy shit, dude. I said I trust a Minotaur and then this happens. Are you kidding?
What fills your mind at that point is someone you remember, Felindra Ironheart. You remember meeting with her in the mountains. You remember discussing your faith, her running away, meeting you, her giving you direction in terms of wanting to spread the word of Amonator further. The connection that the two of you had, and the feeling that you could speak to her about many different things. The fact that the amulet you wear around your neck was given to you by her. You feel that from your mind filter down into your chest and out your fingertips, and you no longer remember anything about her. Now, with Ignatius helping, I'm going to need you to make a dexterity saving throw with advantage. And with the help of Ignatius at your back, you are pulled from the river.
I hand him my bottle of whiskey and say, "Do you want a couple of swigs on that? Might help."
In these times, this is the time I will say yes.
I look to Ricky Bobby and I look to the bastard. I'm like, after you, mate.
I'm gonna walk forward, put my whole arm in, and I am gonna give up the memory of the first time that all of my adventuring party, who everyone saw, my ancestral guardians, the first time we ever got together and formed as an adventuring party and travelled on our first adventure, and when we actually united, I'm going to give that memory up.
So you put your arm into the river, and as you say, the thought of Raphael, Gideon, and Jana all fill your head. All of you, for the first time, meeting through the circumstances of your situations, deciding that it was best for you to travel together. You feel that initial memory of speaking with Jana and that initial excitement that you had fade ever so slightly, and as well as the initial kind of almost paternal feelings that you had towards Raphael fade ever so slightly.
I step up to the edge of the river, and
Can Yian forget his drinking addiction?
I was tempted. I put my hand in, and I want to focus on the memory of the day I decided to become a monk and to follow a Maunator. And as I start to let go of that memory, I devoted my life to you. I followed you. I prayed to you every day. And the one good thing in my life was Emily. And you used none of your godly powers to save her. She was good, she was kind, and you let her die.
The figure lets the boat approach the edge of the water, and you all get on to the boat.
Yep. No arguments there.
I'll say you get on around about here, and you slowly but surely start riding your way down the Styx. Can I ask all of you, whilst you're on the boat, are any of you resting? Are any of you chatting? What are you guys doing as this boat travels down the river?
I am drinking. I'm gonna ask Truyeg about his past. I'm gonna be interested in him, seeing as he's a cleric. Truyeg, where are you from, mate?
I'm from the mountains.
Not a nice life up there?
Small, quaint, away, quiet.
Nice. Do you miss it better than the Hells? Or you find yourself a bit at home here?
I think since being here, I am realizing the scope of my decision to listen to the Order of the Sun, or my invitation rather. I did not think that leaving the mountain would result in me literally arriving in hell itself.
Who are you, mate? When I picked up that letter from that notice board, didn't think it would end up here. If you were back home, what would you be doing now?
I would most likely be... Well, if I had to guess, I probably would have been praying right now. I think it's the middle of the day, but I don't know. What would you have been doing? Would you have been
I'll give you a guess,
deep
mate,
in another bottle?
I used to be a bit of an idealist like you. I'll be honest, mate. You'll find no love in the gods. They don't love you back.
It's not about loving a god in particular, or giving undying love to the god themselves. It's about being a follower of who follows the sun god, because we're all part of that life cycle.
They don't care about our problems. They don't care about us.
I care about my problems, and I care about my neighbour's problems.
And you should do that. It's good that you care.
Then why am I the one in fucking hell, brother?
Exactly my point. You do all this good for other people. You pray to your God every single day, and this is how he rewards you with a trip to hell. All I'm saying is be careful how you devote your time. You could help a lot more people if you prayed a hell lot less and just did good things.
I'm gonna sort of pat Ignatius on the shoulder and say, well, let's not try and talk our cleric out of his powers just yet anyway. We haven't even fought anyone yet. Can I make an insight check on the guy driving this boat? I wanna.
You certainly can. Actually, sorry, instead of insight, can you make...
It was a wrong button anyway.
Well, yeah, clearly it was. Instead of insight, can you make... We'll call this one a religion check. Can you make a religion
Athletics,
check?
yeah, okay.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a 10. A 10 will do. It is a skeletal figure almost. It's a very ghostly figure. As you are going down the river, you do spot other similar figures on the back of boats with these long poles kind of pushing their way along through. And there do seem to be multiple of these figures. From vague, very vague rumours, is that it is said that the river Styx are traversed by things called morainaloths.
Yeah, an element of resting. I've gone into rage twice now and kind of took the brunt of that fight earlier. So to sort of like, and also, when someone's like a smoker and they're like, oh, whatever, like this will kill me like ages away and I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like Boris has always been like, yeah, well, I kill people, I'm going to hell, but that'll be ages away. And now I'm actually like here. So just sort of like an earnest, like, well, I deserve this. So let's just sort of take it in while we're here. And I'm just sort of looking around and, just taking in what is in my surroundings.
But you're resting on this boat slightly, you'd say.
Me, yeah.
As you rest on the boat, travelling, you feel yourself fall into a slight slumber.
This ain't a boat.
You stand in a fog-drenched forest. Trees too tall, trunks unnaturally thin. Their branches hanging low, and the leaves whispering. With every step, you feel something give beneath the soil, like the land is built on organic material. The mist shifts, and shapes emerge. Raphael stands at the tree line, looking just as you remember him. Young, wide-eyed, too kind for the world they wandered through. But his expression is wrong, distant, like he's watching from behind glass. His mouth moves, but no sound comes out. Blood trickles from the corner of his mouth. Far to his right, Gideon leans against a twisted tree, arms crossed, smirking, the way he used to after getting away with something reckless. But as you approach, he turns. There's a hole where his chest used to be. His heart is missing. His eyes burn like embers. Still smirking, but still dead. Jana appears. She steps from the fog barefoot, wearing simple traveller's clothes that she died in. A deep, jagged wound carves across her abdomen. Her eyes are wet, not with tears, but with betrayal. She doesn't speak either, but her mouth moves. You look down, and you feel the weight of the blade in your hand. You hear the scream. You touch the blood. Hers or yours. Who knows? It's all blurred now. And you remember the choice. But it wasn't yours, was it? A voice cuts through the dream like a claw across stone. Love and murder. So often neighbours, don't you think, little Boris? And from behind the trees she comes, a hunched silhouette in a veil of rags. Sister Meredith. She looks just as she did at the orphanage, cruel and twisted, but her teeth are wrong. Too many, too sharp. Her eyes glow green in the dark, and her hands twist into gnarled claws. I raised you better than this, she croons, but I knew you'd break so beautifully, just like you always did. The forest pulses back with a sick laughter. The trees bend towards her like worshippers. 2 hearts, 1 blade. I only gave them a nudge, dear, but it was your hand that did the deed. Your heart that broke hers. Janna's ghost steps closer towards you. Her expression is sorrow and rage twisted together. Her hands reach for your shoulders. She leans in, lips to your ear. Why did you kill me, Boris? The dream cracks and the ground falls open. You fall down a pit of ash, the laughter of Sister Meredith echoing through the void. Voices of old companions wail and whisper, dragging, judging, haunting. And just before you awake, Meredith whispers one last thing, sweet as rot. You were promised to me before your first breath, and I always collect. And you awake. However, I would like for you to give me a point of exhaustion, please, sir. Ricky, what are you doing while the boat is travelling?
I'm just like looking at my my katana and like looking at these like other like long tall pieces of piss going along on their other boats, just thinking like, do you reckon they would have done a better deal on this fucking boat? I'm like looking at the katana, like giving it a little polish.
As you inspect the stone, you start to hear the whispers. The whispers are in part incoherent to you, but as you kind of focus more and you're polishing this stone, you hear kill, rule. And it's all singular words, but they kind of fade in and out of your consciousness in amongst everything else. And you feel almost this unwilling nerve to feed the jewel that's in your stone, but it flickers and it fades. And above table, I'm going to tell you now that you can use this stone. You can call upon the power of this stone by gripping your sword and having a hand on the stone in its hilt. And it will give you advantage on intimidation, deception, and sleight of hand checks. So, you're all traveling down the river. And some of you were awake for it, but you notice yourself pass through these gates here. They come out of the swirling river to what must be 30 feet high. They are these very large, towering, black obsidian gates, and you go around them. You don't go through them. Earlier on, as you pass through here, you notice a fort and a stronghold up in the mountains here. And it is built, the top of it is built, and the body, I guess, of it as well, is built into the shape of a curled up dragon with multiple heads. It's beautiful.
Can I make a religion check on that?
18. So you don't recognize the fortress, but what you do remember is that a 7-headed dragon is known to be the vessel of Tiamat, and that's what you know. So you further pass down the river, and you go past this big cliff face here.
How tall is the cliff face?
The cliff face towers over the river. The river's wide, and this thing is about as tall as the river is wide. It's a few miles high.
Parkour down.
At the top, you see an incredibly large crucifix. And you go further down, and you eventually are dropped off at the side of the river just past this cliff face. Now, you can't really make out Fort Knucklebone yet, because as you get out of the boat, you are taken to an exit, which... Oh, no, sorry, not that one. An exit, which is... Your boat is dropped off down here, and he tells you, climb the waterfalls, and you will find Fort Knucklebone.
Can I ask him, like, so are you going to be here when we get back, or?
As you turn around to ask him something and you leave the boat, he's gone.
What a prick.
The floor is walkable. It's not as thick as the river Styx. It is seemingly the blood from the fields of Avernus filtering down into the river Styx, but there are some larger waterfalls up around here which are a more kind of thick current, but there's a very kind of thin puddleish layer across some of the floor which is blood.
I must come back here for my holidays. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's just stunning, isn't it?
As you step off and are up onto solid ground, the waterfalls around here are seemingly endless, and they churn and froth unnaturally in the same way that the river itself does. The sound you hear as well, you hear the kind of relentless crashing from where it filters into a smaller kind of pond down here, and you hear that as it's falling down and hitting the pool of blood. But despite the noise, you sense a stillness in the air. You feel as if you are being watched. What do you guys now do?
Can I look around and see if there's any scrying eyes floating around the gaff?
Can you make an investigation check for me?
We're both so blind, bro.
Neither of you notice anything.
Can we see the place we're about to climb up is like clear, and there's no like fucker there?
Did you guys see anything earlier? Or
Can you
no?
make an investigation check for me, Ricky, to see what you can see? You don't notice anything.
We are some absolutely...
So are you guys making your way up this first bit here?
Yeah.
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 Oh,
Good.
fuck it.
Is this how you're all standing as you kind of get up to this layer?
Yeah, definitely.
As you ascend up to the second layer, the ground beneath your feet feels slick, obviously, with the blood. You do feel the rocks beneath your boots. The stone seems to hum with an energy you can't even really comprehend. At the summit, once you get up to this layer here, you see shadows, figures emerging. Can you all make a perception check for me as well, please? Lovely.
Big up Truyeg.
And can you also all confirm to me which of you speak infernal?
I speak infernal.
I do as well.
I do not.
I do not.
Truyeg and Ricky, you notice something in infernal written on this stone. You see it carved into the stone. They are a part of you. And you look back up. Out of the waterfalls emerge figures. They look familiar. One by one, the figures begin to step forward, emerging from the torrents of crimson. Their features warped, twisted into grotesque parodies of your own forms. Their eyes glow with malice, and they stare at you, expressions cold and hateful, as if they carry the worst aspects of your own soul, twisted and corrupted. Boris, your reflection steps forward from the waterfall, body dripping with blood and face twisted into a mocking grin. His eyes, however, are the same as yours, dark and full of suppressed emotion. He says, "Look at us. So pathetic." Voice heavy with disgust. "Do you think anyone could ever love us, Boris? No one ever will. We're weak, useless. We've never done anything but fail." It strides closer. "We'll die alone, as we always have, because no one could ever love something like us." From another cascade of blood, you see the twisted version of Ricky step forward. His features are a reflection of your own. He carries the same arrogance that Ricky carries. "Winning is all that matters, Ricky, you know that," chuckling as he says it. "Why should we care for anything or anyone else? We matter, Ricky, no one else does. We're nothing without victory. But look around. We're losing. And we've always been losing. We are pathetic." Ignatius, you're faced with a reflection of yourself that, despite your alcoholic and messy tendencies, looks worse. Tainted, broken. Its robes are even more ragged than your own, covered in blood and soot. And its smile is twisted, cruel, and it carries bitterness in its voice as it said, "The past, you think we can ever really face this? We've caused so much harm, so much pain, that can just be ignored and buried, right? We're far too weak to confront this, Ignatius. We'll never face our own demons. There's no peace for someone like us. Our problems are drowned, not faced." Lastly, Truyeg, you see your figure step forward. It wears an armor like the sun, but its eyes are far more fanatical. Its voice rumbles, and it says, "We're all above it, aren't we? Our faith is pure. We are the righteous hand of justice. What we do is in the name of our God. Our faith isn't evil, but it exists for power, and that marks us. We are worthy of whatever we wish, and we can take whatever we want." Can everyone roll initiative for me, please?
We fucking go.
On that one on initiative, let's fucking go.
I am going to move here. And I'm going to use my light crossbow.
So that is 4 points of damage. Now remember, you've just leveled up, so you've got extra attack.
Roll for that again.
And that misses.
Misses.
Boris,
Am I going to go into a rage? And I'm going to head straight for my doppelganger.
attack rolls you don't have to roll with disadvantage, so we'll take the 18 on that one.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that.
Can you roll for damage on that for me? 11 damage.
And I've got another one.
It's 14 points of damage.
Sorry to interrupt, but obviously when I go into a rage, my ancestral guardians, so Jana, Gideon, and Raphael will appear around me as well.
Okay, Truyeg, it's now your go.
I'm going to move forward just a touch, and then I'm going to guiding bolt myself. Just hand to the dome.
An 18, I'm pretty sure does hit. Yeah, it does.
Ah, beautiful.
So you do 15 points of damage.
Do you know, just for a bit of fun with my bonus action, I'm going to turn into my large form. So now I'm large and I have
Okay.
advantage on strength checks, and I'm faster by 10 feet as well.
Ignatius.
I am going to use my bonus action to step of the wind dash towards myself. So I have 80 feet of movement. So I'm going to go.
I'm going to need you to make 2 acrobatics checks getting up and down.
Oof.
As you're getting up the first one, you misjudge it ever so slightly and smack your face into a rock jutting out as you're climbing up. So can you take 2 points of damage for me?
And then make both my attacks. And on that first one, because I've hit, I'm going to spend another key point to stunning strike.
Okay, let me make the con save.
Alright, I'll make my second attack. Haha, let's go. To be fair, is it an auto crit because he's...
And that's you done. Ricky, your reflection is smirking at you. It's repeating the same phrase over and over again. Winning, winning, winning. But as you stand still in front of it just for a moment, the smirk flickers and the reflection doesn't press you. It's monitoring you and it's waiting. It's waiting for you to recognize something. Ignatius, your reflection looks at you very coldly. It hesitates with its expression as if it's kind of questioning itself. And then Truyeg, as your reflection is angrily in front of you, there's a doubt to it. Condemnation seems to suffer. And it's no longer sure of its own assertions, seemingly.
Before I hit him again, can I? What is that big cavern in the middle?
That is a pool of blood.
How deep is it?
Can you make a perception check for me? You can see it goes more than 1 or 2 feet down.
I want to try and pick him up and throw him in it.
Okay, so you're attempting to grapple. So you attempt to grab it, but it very easily shrugs off your attempts, and you, as you kind of lunge for it, lose your footing in the puddle of blood. I'm going to need you to move 1 square to the left.
Right. So can I pick up on this doubt that he has? Do I notice that? Is that a noticeable?
You notice that, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So I'm going to notice that doubt, and I am going to hit him across the face with a mace of my own, and I do it with advantage because he was hit with guiding light last round.
You do it with
twat.
advantage because it was hit with guiding bolt.
Bosh. That's lovely.
A 17. Let me just double check. Yeah, that does hit.
And then Bosh. Because I've dealt damage to him, I can also give that target the prone condition.
Oh, wait, why has that lowered your health?
What have you done? Why am I on 8 hit points?
Very
I can
good.
hit Truyeg with a little combo.
It is now prone. Ignatius, you're up.
I'm just gonna hit him twice with advantage.
Both hit. How do you want to do this?
I want my first one to be like up into his gut, and then as he sort of like doubles over, I just want to go with an elbow across the jaw and sort of knock him so he falls into that pit of blood.
As he falls into the pit of blood, you hear him whisper is the word Emily. And he falls into the pit of blood. This Boris is up next, and he is going to move towards you as you're on the edge. He is going to attempt to grapple you. I'm going to need you to make an athletics check for me.
Oh, that is sickening.
Okay, so you are now grappled, and he's now going to he's going to attempt to throw you into the pit of blood.
Oh,
Jeez.
so the boys, it's been a pleasure. Good luck.
So, Boris, you are thrown into the pool
fuck
of
me.
blood. We're gonna come back to you. You're stabbing him.
Yeah.
Okay, go on. Give me a one-handed stab.
Stab.
That hits.
Stab.
He takes 9 points of damage. He's looking very peaky.
Can I just punch him in the face as hard as I can?
Yeah, go on. Give me just
So
a
what?
straight strength check.
Fuck!
You miss.
Are you bloody killing me?
Boris. The surface disappears above you, and the light blacks out from above you. You're now just surrounded by complete darkness. And then the crimson returns into a myriad of gore, bodies, flesh, rot. You see a creature larger than the Ivory Keep in Eldrathis under the surface, unmoving. You then see a battlefield appear. It's in the fields of Avernus. And you see these monstrous forms clattering against each other. Infernal chains writhing about on the battlefield, screams of all kinds, and some mortals splattered in and about. And you hear the chant, traitor, traitor, traitor. You turn around and you are at the end of a long tree-lined path in front of an old wooden rusted building, and you see further along from you a orc man and a human woman walking back away down the path. The sky tears open to a red rift. Out of this rift appears these green glowing eyes looking down on you. You have been chosen. It boils in like a green bubbling mist that then fills your vision. Can you make dexterity saving throw for me? 17. Okay. The green bubbling mist starts eating away at your flesh around you. Can you take 8 points of damage for me? And you re-emerge hanging on to the edge of this little... No, sorry, this one here. Hanging on to the edge of this little lip here. Truyeg. Sure go.
I'm going to Shield of Faith myself first, so my AC now has +2.
Yep.
And then I'm going to basically backhand myself with the mace, as in the other Truyeg.
Yeah.
With
Can
the
you roll
mace.
for an attack?
Fucking yes, I can.
You
I
get
can.
advantage because you're prone.
Oh, and
Yes.
yeah, big mace moment. Bosh.
Yeah, that hits. Can you roll for damage?
Bosh.
8 damage. Okay, how do you want to do this?
Oh my god. My doppelganger self is prone on the ground. I saw the doubt in his mind and obviously hit him once with the mace, and then on the return, backhand just right down into his fucking head. Game over.
As you cleave down into the top of his head splits open and the mace goes through his head. Here, just before you cleave through to where its mouth is, it says, "Are we evil?" And it disappears into a pool of blood.
I'm gonna step over to the ledge and try give Boris a hand up.
Yeah, so you manage to pull his torso up onto the ledge so that he's now just kind of hanging over it. He's not like up and standing about, but he's no longer in the water at all.
I'll just step forward and
Yeah.
I can take an unarmed strike as a bonus action, so I'll do that.
How do you want to do this?
I want to punch him onto Ricky Bobby's katana.
Bobby is stood there with his katana at the ready in one hand, and as you cleave him with your fist around the jaw, haymaker across him, he falls through his chest onto the sword of Ricky Bobby. His body starts to disintegrate and fall back into blood on the floor. He just points his head up at you, Ricky, and he says, "Are we enough?" Falls into the blood around him, re-emerging in front of you. Again, Boris.
Fuck off.
And he makes an attack against you. Reckless attack, which I presume hits, dealing 9 points of damage.
Half to 4, so...
That's going to be the end of his turn. Ricky Bobby, it's your go.
I'm going to move here.
That misses.
I'm going to swing again.
Yeah. That also misses. Boris, it's your go. I'm going to say it takes all of your movement to stand up, but you still have all your actions. So that's 15, half to 7. So that's an extra 4. You do some sizable damage nowadays. Truyeg?
Could I guiding bolt him? I think
You can.
I think so. Like that. I didn't mean to roll with advantage,
That's
but
fine, that hits.
I'm too good.
13, okay. How do you want to do this?
I like to imagine whenever he does guiding light, it's just he points like, you know, if you were to make a gun with your fingers, that's what he does. And him pulling the trigger is actually just this huge light beam that comes down, and it's just gonna eviscerate him. It's just the power of the sun directly on him.
As this sunbeam starts disintegrating him, and he's actually not turning back into blood. This is literally disintegrating the blood as it's eating through his flesh until it's just his head floating there as it's disintegrating. And he says to you, Boris, "What are we?" He is gone. And you are all left stood there.
Jesus. Or rather, a Maunator.
Boris is fucking shook after that. Like,
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
there's been one too many visions now. There's been to, like, after all the shit, like getting lobbed in there was the final straw. So I'm just fucking shook.
whatever the route is up, we will.
Okay.
I'll like hoist them up. I'll like give a knee.
Yeah.
Do we have this feeling that there's anything still watching or no?
You feel like you're still being watched, but there's no longer a presence there necessarily. So you climb up the slick, blood-drenched cliffs, and as you crest the final rise, a deafening roar of waterfalls that you did have subsides. There's a red mist emanating off this that you can still kind of feel, and you come to solid ground. The ground is cracked, uneven, and the earth is scarred beneath your feet. Ahead, looming in front of you, a twisted monument to survival stands in front of you. The fort is hulking in its size, but it feels uneven. It's patchwork. It's cobbled together from broken bones, charred metal, wrecked war machines, and it's all held together by rusted chains, spikes. The walls are jagged, uneven. It seems as though it's hastily been thrown together in a desperate attempt at fortification. The air around it is ominous, and again, you still feel this stench of sulfur and iron, as you seem to do everywhere around here. The outer wall, as I say, is made of bones and metal. The bones are a bleached white from exposure to the elements, but still seem sturdy enough to withstand the elements and a certain level of attack against it. Strips of cloth in various kind of states of decay lining the walls, and banners coming down from small makeshift towers. There's a huge rusted gate you see kind of off into the distance and the entrance of this fort, and it almost looks like a skeletal hand in the way that it curls down and kind of reaches forward. The hinges are rusted and it's a very worn gate, but it's still functional enough to work. And there's debris scattered all around the front of this gate, broken weapons, bones of a long dead creature. And you catch a sight of the fort's inhabitants. You see just beyond the wall in the distance, strange twisted figures patrolling the perimeters, scavenging amongst the scrap against its walls, and you hear the clatter of metal against bones and the screech of wheels from inside the fort walls that you can't quite see. The fort's central keep is gigantic. It's this thing here. It's a crumbling, bony in appearance, but you can see it's been hollowed out in the center and reinforced from the inside. The battlements at the top here are uneven and jagged and grotesque in their kind of sharpness, and as if no effort has been made to make this a particularly nice on the eyes. Despite the battered exterior, there is a sense of resilience from the fort. It's clearly no place for faint-hearted. There is no peace as the figures endlessly kind of drag themselves around from what you can see in this fort. And that's where we're gonna end it for today.
The hells have eaves.
So we're
They do have eaves.
they do have
They
eaves.
do indeed have eaves.
So we're gonna say that you make camp for a bit up there. It's up to you whether or not you want to take a short rest up there or a long rest. You can decide that at the start of next session. But you are about half a mile or so away from Fort Knucklebone at the top of this hill
Good
beyond
God.
the waterfalls.